Hi everybody, so this week we're making jam tarts. So what I've done so far is I've weighed out my ingredients and all we've got is 2 ingredients, so it's block marge and self-raising flour, and obviously we've got our jam as well. So what I've done is I have used the rubbing in method, which means that we're just going to use the ends of our fingertips to rub in the fat and the flour together, and it's going to create this, which is just breadcrumbs. Almost looks like breadcrumbs, doesn't it? So we've got all that in there. Just make sure when you're doing that you're shaking your bowl, making sure that all the flour is in part of that. So, and then what we're going to do next is we're going to use a dinner knife. Okay, just a dinner knife that you'd eat your dinner with. We're going to give that a little mix, and we're going to add in our water. Now our water needs to be cold. Pastry doesn't like heat, it likes to be cold. So we're going to add in, I'm just going to add in 2 dessert spoons to start with, and then we're going to mix it in. Now, mixing in, the reason we use a dinner knife is so it doesn't stick, and then we can easily get the mixture back off of the dinner knife because it's metal. If you use a wooden spoon or anything like that, it just gets really sticky and stuck. So I'm going to push that again. So as you can see, I'm just pushing it against the side of the bowl. I've only put 2 tablespoons in, 2 dessert spoons even, that's not a tablespoon. So we're going to add another one in. So make sure that that is mixed in really well before we add any water. We don't want a wet dough. So we're trying to make it go as far as possible, that water. And as you can see, mine's now starting to clump together, and look, it just forms a dough. So I've only put 3 dessert spoons in at the moment. I'm still mixing and it's still going in, like so. Now we're going to get to this point. I'm going to put half of one in because mine's quite pulled together, but we just want to get those little bits off the bottom. So tiny little bit off the bottom. And that's come together. As you can see, it's come together quite nicely in a few bits. Now I've only got a little bit on my knife, just going to take it off with my fingers. And what we're going to put that to one side so that's out of the way. Now as you can see, there's a little bit of wet on the work surface. We don't really want the wet on the work surface. I'm just going to dry that off because, like I said before, it doesn't really like wet, and it doesn't really like warm either, pastry. So I'm going to flour my work surface, nicely floured. A little bit of flour on my hands, mix that in like that. I'm going to bring this dough together with our hand. Like I said, I have very hot hands, not very nice hands. So pastry isn't really my friend. So I'm going to pop that onto the work surface, make sure it's got that on there. And then what we're going to do, if you guys remember when we made scones/scones, we're going to use this part of our hand here. So we're going to bring this into the middle, like so. And we're going to make a nice flat surface on the top. So bringing that round, like so. Make it as square as possible if you can, and then we're going to turn it over, and as you can see we've got a nice smooth edge. We're going to make sure that's nice and smooth. I'm just going to move that out of the way so it's not in my way. Okay, nice square, and then we're going to use a rolling pin. And make sure your rolling pin is floured. Get some flour off the work surface, so if you need some more, get some more. And then we're going to roll. So my mixture is not the same mixture as yours, so my mixture is a bit smaller than yours. So we're going to go for about a 1 centimetre thickness, not too thick. Now your best rollout is going to be your first rollout, okay? So as you can see, mine's now, make sure you can move it as well. It should be able to move on the work surface. If it can't, put some more flour down. Now, my bunting's quite small. So I'm going to check like that. I'm at school, so it means that I've got cutters today. If you haven't, just try it with a glass at home. I'm going to start right on the edge. Push down. We don't need to be twisting. The more you twist it, the smaller it will become. So I'm going to start right on the edge, right next up to each other. Do all your cutouts, like so. Make sure you've got a whole one there, push down. And then we're going to put our cutter to one side and then we're going to take away the excess around it, like we did with our shortbread. So like that. And then we're going to put them over the top, go forward so you can see, over the top of your bun tin, okay? So nicely over the top, like so. Like that. And now we're going to use the end of your rolling pin. We're just going to push down so it just takes the air out. So this is quite a small, I probably could have gone a bit smaller with this because it's not really that deep. We're using a muffin tin.
I'm sorry.
Usually. Mr. Cambridge has just come in. So just pushing down on there, like so. It just takes the air out, so it's taken to the bottom of the bun tin. And then we're going to have our jam. So what I've done with my jam is I've just put it into a bowl and I've mixed it round. Now the only jam that I could get is strawberry jam, so we're putting strawberry jam in. Usually, traditionally, you'd use raspberry jam. So we're going to get a little teaspoon, probably about half a teaspoon just to start with, put it in, see how big it becomes. We're going to take it off with our finger, pop it into the pastry. There we go, like that. Again, back into there. So does anyone know what happens to jam when it goes into the oven? Does anyone know what happens to jam when it gets hot? Can anyone tell me? Okay, so what happens is that jam gets really, really hot and it actually expands. So you don't need a huge amount of jam in there, but we need nice heat, a nice half a teaspoon. So just like that. So that's going to go in the oven for about 13 to 15 minutes, depending on whether your what temperature your oven runs at. My temperature runs high, so mine are only going to go in for about 13 minutes. Okay, for some of the older students, can you think of something else that you could make? So you could make a bakewell tart, so you could put pastry in the bottom, jam, and then make a sponge mixture with almond in to go over the top. So have a look, see what you can find. Enjoy cooking, and I hope to see you soon.